Listen to me.
Hey, everybody
Huh?
out there, this is Kevin with KTE
Listen to
University,
me.
and I'm here to go ahead and start this segment, our first entrepreneur spotlight. We'll be featuring Shonte Baltes today, a makeup artist in Alabama. So let's go ahead and get started and get her into this conversation. Hey, Shonte, are you there?
Hey, how are you, Kevin? Hello.
Hey, how you doing? How you been?
I've been awesome. I'm doing good. I had a little visitor, so I just had to let her know that I was about to do a meeting. So, but that's what happens in entrepreneurship. Like you never know who's gonna walk in your office.
Of course, of
So,
course, of course. That's how it always is. So let's just go ahead and jump
yeah.
straight into this. I just want the people to know who you are before we start this. So just tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I am Shonte Baltes. I am from Atmore, Alabama. I currently reside in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, alumni of the University of Alabama, and also a graduate student from Troy University. Um, I currently own By Mercy Beauty, and we have a physical location, which is By Mercy Beauty Bar, which is also located in Tuscaloosa.
Hmm.
And I am in the 30 Club. So
Awesome. Whoop whoop.
just to kind of put a frame on the age of entrepreneur endeavors, like you can never be too young because I feel like I'm 21.
You. Um, this is the holiday and conversation how entrepreneurship might be for you and just what a life in entrepreneurship could kind of be like, just so that you kind of know up front. So, Shantae, I'll go ahead and let you start.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to go into how um, figuring out are you an entrepreneur, and I remember I usually always tell this story of how there was just one night I was kind of purging through my journals, and at about 8 years old, I wrote in one of my journals, my dream job will be a businesswoman.
Right.
And so, hindsight, going to college and me wanting to be this PR base, I came here with it. And so all of us aren't necessarily born entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
You're born with something more. You want something more. You're an influencer. You're a leader, but you may not necessarily know exactly what it is that you'll be leading, or where you'll be leading. But you know that it's some type of fire burns. And so for my personal testimony, I didn't initially go right into entrepreneurship. I ended up majoring in public relations because I love people. I'm a communicator. I love to communicate. I love experiences with people, experiencing people's different perspective of life and background. And so I majored in PR also because PR doesn't necessarily have this box. It's kind of a vague career path. And so you have so many options that you can choose from, which is, I'll talk about the traits of an entrepreneur briefly. But that's a trait. Like, I don't like to be boxed in. And so that was kind of one of the telltale signs that, okay, entrepreneurship may be for you, Shonte. And so post-graduation, couldn't find a job. I ended up working multiple jobs without having necessarily a career. I worked jobs. And so eventually I ended up losing all of my jobs. And so around 2013, with no job, I had to say, well, what is it in me that I can manifest and create profit? I can create revenue. What is something that I can begin to do that would set me up to sustain financially? And so that's when I ended up going back to graduate school, and then I began to freelance as a makeup artist. And so from me freelancing, the opportunity came for me to open a business. And so had never opened a business before by myself. Especially not a brick and mortar. That's a different monster. And so getting to that place where I was able to have a building, inventory, employees, taxes, insurances, the things that you never think of. You just think, I got a product, I want to sell it and make some money.
Yep.
And, going into full manifestation was pretty overwhelming, to say the least, and extremely stressful. But it got done. And so, God just kind of honor that 8-year-old girl that wrote, I want to grow up and be a businesswoman, in his own way. But so many things had to take place for me to get to there. But I do want to just briefly release traits of an entrepreneur. And so I'm a big Forbes magazine person. I subscribe to Forbes, Entrepreneur magazine, Black Enterprise. That's one thing when it comes to running a business and entrepreneurship, that you have to stay fed and you have to become an expert at what it is that you do. And so most people don't understand that small business and a small business owner, which is what I currently am, and an entrepreneur are two different things. Entrepreneurs create wealth, and they create wealth pretty fast. Usually within 5 years, most entrepreneurs become millionaires, or they have $1 million idea that they release or that they begin to get manifested. Small business owners have a long-term wealth effect to where they're a start a business, and over time they build wealth with that one endeavor. And so it'll expand, and they may get multiple branches, they may get multiple ideas from that one startup, but it's an overtime process. And entrepreneurs are usually high rollers, high risk takers. Their wealth creation is pretty quick. They take risks, and they're innovators. And so normally an entrepreneur is going to think of something that does not exist. And what you're going to be able to not do is tell that entrepreneur that that's not going to come to fruition. Entrepreneurs are very tenacious. They're very resilient, to say the least. And so the top 5 personality traits of an entrepreneur: 1, you got to have passion. And so if you talk to any entrepreneur, when you talk to them about what it is that they're doing, you feel an energy. And a lot of times they ain't making no money. But if you talk to them, you'll think that they are living in $1 million home and they drive 2017 Range Rover. And so when you talk to an individual who's extremely passionate about what it is that they do, and they begin to spit ideas and where they see themselves going, and they sound very sure of that, that's definitely a sign that you are in front of an entrepreneur. And that I can guarantee you that within 5 years from you knowing that person, they're going to have a multi-million-dollar company. And so passion is definitely one of the main characteristics, because a true entrepreneur has a purpose. They understand that there's something greater that they are tied to. There is something more than what they have in front of them. And even if they are currently working for themselves, they have a full understanding that there is something more in me and around me that will manifest. And so when you're talking to them, there's light in their eyes. I know, By Mercy to me is not what I envisioned it at first. But I love where it is going. I love what it's teaching me. I love what I'm learning. And so I'm passionate about the journey. And you start losing focus as an entrepreneur on your profit and what it is that you're making. You have a foresight of, yes, I want to, make $5 million. And, they say set goals. But there's a point where you say, I just want to see this thing go. And so you don't necessarily think about, oh, this is 100 million. Just think that I want to see people receive my vision. And so anytime that you have purpose, profitability will come from that, and prosperity comes from purpose. So that's something most entrepreneurs have second. It's right under passion and then profit. And most people will look at you like you're crazy, but that just comes with entrepreneurship. You're going to be called crazy. You're going to be called crazy a whole bunch of times. Your family going to call you crazy. They're going to tell you to get a job at least 3 times a week. And so that's just something that you have to be comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And so another trait is resilience, because you're going to take losses. And these 5 characteristics are traits. If you're sitting here and you're trying to evaluate, am I an entrepreneur or am I a small business owner? Now, small business owners carry these traits as well, but entrepreneurs see something that changes, in a sense, the world. And that's not to say your small business idea won't do that, but entrepreneurship is usually very intimidating to who is actually envisioning it. It is actually bigger than what they see, what they know. They just have a sense of, this is going to be an awesome situation, and I've got to get this outside of myself. I was looking at a quote Sir Winston Churchill once said, "Success is the ability to go from one failure to another with no loss of enthusiasm." Because in entrepreneurship and even in small business, you are going to fail. I cannot count how many times I failed. I've co-partnered ventures before. I've co-partnered a venture that I thought was an awesome idea, and it still resonates. I still see people wearing the merchandise. I still see people talking about the merchandise, but that business failed. And that's not to say that it was a wrong idea. It just was not done properly. So with that did not stop me from trying again. I've taken losses in the business that I'm in now, but I keep going. Resilience. You've got to have resilience, and you've got to be comfortable with failing. You've got to not be afraid to scratch your knees, lose money, take losses, skip trips, be forgotten. Like, those are the things that you've got to be able to bounce back from. And you got to know that mistakes will always give you a message, and mistakes in business will always teach you something. It's not necessarily a loss. It is not really a loss. A loss is just a misguided lesson. And so that's something that you will definitely understand in small business and entrepreneurship. So we've got passion, we've got resilience. You've got to have a strong sense of self. That's our third characteristic. If you're sitting here and you're writing this down and you're trying to analyze, am I an entrepreneur? Do you have passion? Do you have resilience? And do you have a strong sense of self? Because I promise you that self will be tested by people. Your idea is going to be challenged. Your vision will be challenged. Your personality, your character, your faith, your prayer life. You're going to be fussing at God, your mama, everybody. You're going to be mad at everybody at some point. But you've got to have a strong sense of self, because there are so many problems that you have to overcome. You've got to overcome taxes. You've got to overcome employee. You've got to overcome people stealing from you. You've got to overcome competitors, throat slashing you. Like, you've got to overcome these things. And so you've got to have a strong sense of who you are and what it is that you thought of that made you even start this journey. Like, that's something that, if that's embedded in your blood, you won't be removed from that. And so you definitely have to be self-confident, self-motivated, because as an entrepreneur, there's nobody saying, hey, you're late today. There's nobody saying that. There's nobody keeping up with the hours that you put in. There's nobody keeping up with the money that you save that goes into your business. There's nobody over you saying you need to budget this and budget that, unless you hire an accountant. And I'm sure in your beginning phases, an accountant is not on your budget. So it's you. You are your accountant. You're your secretary. You're your security guard. You're your insurance agent. You may have to be your doctor, because you may not have health insurance. So you may have to Google a natural way of taking care of a cold. So you turn into about 15 people when you start entrepreneurship. And so, 91% of entrepreneurs are confident that their business will be more profitable in the next 12 months. When you see an entrepreneur struggling right now, I guarantee you see them a year later, they're going to be motivated. They're going to express they've expanded. They're really sure that, hey, this next season is going to work for me. And so then that segues us into flexibility, because when you go into the next season and say, I'm looking at these next 12 months and I'm wondering, well, something didn't work. So I've got to be flexible and wrote the vision down like this. It's not going to stay like this. So you've got passion, you've got resilience, you've got where we are strong sense of self. And now you got to understand that you've got to be flexible, because when it comes to entrepreneurship, it doesn't go like you started. And I'll say that with By Mercy. By Mercy definitely has changed. And I didn't know in the beginning that being malleable would be an awesome trait for me. I thought being malleable was me not staying true to my vision. But me being flexible was me being understanding. Me being flexible has been a benefit, because there are some things that are not going to work and you are not going to get results. And you have to not be afraid to release from that original plan that you had to yield some better results. Take advice. I'm very adamant about this is a book I'm reading. I love pray book. So I have to pray guiding. And then, you know, I subscribe to magazines like Entrepreneur Magazine, Black Enterprise, Forbes. These are things that I make sure that I continuously feed myself because I don't have all the answers, Sway. And that's something that I have to be comfortable with. And that also goes into a strong sense of self. I know my idea is awesome, but I know that there are 1,000 ways that this idea can work. And so I have to be receptive to outside information. And a lot of times, don't overlook people because they don't have a PhD or a credential. Sometimes the universe will send you an answer through somebody you least expect. And you've got to be attentive as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as someone who's branching out. You've got to be attentive to say, whoa, I might should try it like that. And if it doesn't work, okay, don't listen to them no more. But you have to at least be open to give it a try. Because an idea may be brilliant, but in reality, it probably isn't effective. Because you never, when you think of a cool idea, you know, at first you're going to think, oh, if I put this in here, they're going to love it. So at that point, I'm not thinking about the cost of what it may cost me to put it in, the cost of more advertising to get my customer base familiar with this new product or whatever it is that I have, the time that it's going to take for me to build an audience for that and for them to get receptive, especially if you're in a new phase of business, because you're already trying to build notoriety. Like, you've got to understand that this is a marathon. This is definitely not a sprint. Entrepreneurship, small business ownership is not a sprint by far. It is definitely a marathon. Don't be fooled by the Instagram boutiques and the Instagram Etsy pages and stuff like that, because even then, they still have to put in work too. And so don't be fooled when it looks instantaneous, because oftentimes, and 90% of the time, is not. And so the fifth vision, entrepreneurs see opportunity everywhere, and that's me. And I know I exhaust my mom, because that's probably usually who I release my ideas to, and a couple of my friends. And I'm sure I exhaust them. Kind of write them down in my journal. Innovator and every entrepreneurial minded person has one of these, a notebook, a piece of paper or something, where you roll over at 3 o'clock in the morning and you write down an idea, or you write down your error and how you can find ways to do more, be more, and do better. Entrepreneurs are innovators who are always on the lookout to either develop a new idea or improve an existing product or service. Even if you're in the car wash, you always see it another way. Like, that's just the mind of an entrepreneur. You never see it for what it is. You always see some opportunity in something. And the only dilemma that keeps an entrepreneur from putting their hands on 1,000 ideas is usually financial supplement. Like, if I had the money, I probably would have 100 companies right now with all the ideas that I have. And so, you know, just entrepreneurs are always inspired by things that have never been seen before, things yet to be discovered. And that's just the way an entrepreneur ticks. So if you're going through and you're trying to scroll through your mind, and entrepreneurship, I will say, is not for everyone. It is not for everyone. That's something that has been taught to me. I've heard that in a lot of seminars. I've heard that, you know, in articles that I've read. It's just not for everyone. And so don't get caught up in the hype of people telling you, walk out of your job, you know, be free, follow your dream. Listen, 1 minute before you walk up out of that good paying job with those benefits and you leave and you really haven't filter out your true purpose, your true passion. You've got to have a purpose and a passion first before you can really involve and indulge yourself in entrepreneurship. You've got to know why you're here and what it is that you're supposed to be doing. And there's really no direct line, but you'll understand that. I always like to say, when you're thinking about purpose and you're thinking about where you're going, once you find out that you are going to Timbuktu, and we're just gonna say Timbuktu, we can get to Timbuktu currently on a highway. And so I'm on the highway and it's 5 lanes. However, at this point, I understand that I'm going to Timbuktu, so I'm good. Whatever lane I'm in to get there is totally irrelevant to get to Timbuktu. And so that's how you see entrepreneurship. As long as I'm on the right highway and I get off on the right exit, I'm good. I may not be driving. I may not start off in lane 1. I may end up in lane 3. But if I stay on that path and I stay on that highway and I stay in the right direction, I will get to my destination. And so don't be distracted by, so, I want my clothing line, but I got to start off with t-shirts. Okay, you may want to cut and sew, but eventually you have to start somewhere. And the biggest step is taking the first step. And so just to reevaluate, you got to have passion. You got to have resilience, strong sense of self, flexibility, and you've got to have vision. And so those are the traits. Do network, because if you're trying to be an entrepreneur, wrong. Thinking about our seed, and you got to raise your business. Like you have to feed it, bathe it, clothe it. Eventually the child is going to run off and start bathing itself and clothing itself, and you kind of get some comfort because they get awards. You can brag on your baby because your baby's saying speeches now, and you get pictures and stuff. But at first it's just a little arm baby, and the baby can't do nothing but spit up on you. And that's how business is. In the beginning stages, it's very needy, it's very dependent, and it's usually give, and no reciprocation. And so there comes a time in your business, though, when you do start seeing results, and it does start reciprocating the energy that you've invested. But if you think that you are going to hop off the porch and take off running and become the first in the only way that's going to happen if God's grace comes in and just puts you in the lead. And I'm not saying that the creator can't do that, but I'm saying we have to have a realistic understanding. We have to have a realistic understanding of entrepreneurship and what business is going to take. A lot of people romanticize it. They don't have a reality of it in regards to doing it properly, because being an entrepreneur and being a hustler are 2 different things. Usually a hustler just kind of move quick through a whole bunch of stuff. An entrepreneur sticks it out. They're resilient, and that's one of the characteristics. So I challenge you to review those 5 characteristics and see if those are things that you have in you. Are those some traits? Are you willing to fight for your vision? And if you're willing to fight, and if you've got a majority of these characteristics, and there may be one that you need some help on, get you some books, get with a mentor, ask questions, research, and don't be afraid to invest. If you don't want to invest in your business, it's not for you. That's just a hobby. And so, yeah.
Correct. And passion is just so important. Passion is the key to what we believe in at KTE, because we believe that anytime you start a business, if you're not very passionate about it, it's very hard to get over those stumbling blocks. And it's just kind of the next move into having that resiliency, that flexibility, that strong worth in yourself, like Shonte is saying. It all kind of drives from passion, though. You just have to really make sure that your passion aligns with the business that you're trying to do. Without that passion, you just won't have the drive, the motivation to create that business. That's the most important trait. And let's go ahead, and we're going to take some questions real quick before we get off. If anybody has any questions for Shonte regarding quality traits for us, just let us know in the comment section. We'll give people a couple seconds to ask us any questions that they might have. All right. So there's not any questions out there. Shonte, is there anything, last thing that you can kind of give to entrepreneurs that they can take home with them to drive them to work harder, to kind of give them just some motivation in their life in this season right now? It's the end of the year, so maybe something focused on that. It's the end of the year, and we're just trying to really pound out this last couple 2 months. Just give the people some
Well,
motivation
yeah.
on being
Well,
an
I did see
entrepreneur.
someone comment, how did I discover this as my purpose?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and to say that initially it didn't go like I planned, I just had to get my own thoughts out of the way. And so anytime that you're seeking what is your purpose, you look at what is attractive to you, what are your passions, what would you do for free. Makeup was something that I really love, and I will be honest, I was intimidated by becoming a professional in it, because a lot of times it's hard to go from hobby to career. And so I had a tough time transitioning and really making my hobby my career, because I felt like I wasn't good enough. So I had to throw all preconceived notions out of the window. And I'm a woman of faith. So I really had to seek God on what it is that I'm supposed to be doing, what I should be doing. And I really didn't care how it was going to get done. I just wanted to know what it is that I'm supposed to do. And so in order for you to find out why you work, you got to figure out who made you. And so that's pretty much the advice on that. In order to find out your purpose, you got to figure out who made you. And they probably have the instruction manual to what you're here for. And so in regards to what Kevin was saying with this 422, you've got an opportunity to get creative in your marketing, get creative in what you offer to your clientele and your customer base. Don't be afraid of specials. Don't be afraid of gift baskets. Don't be afraid of discounts. Don't be afraid of gift cards. Those are opportunities for you to make money. If you are a service-based business, you definitely want to offer specials, because you have a lot of festivity going on now. You're going to have Christmas parties. You're going to have balls and galas and all kind of stuff like that, because this is a celebratory time of year. And so you want to take advantage of that. I know for us, it is an opportunity for us to introduce some specials, some different ways to do what we do here, because we are a service-based business. And so if anything, just be optimistic and don't be afraid to look for ideas. Like, you're not going to think of everything yourself. So don't be afraid to Google. Don't be afraid to ask another business owner. Don't be afraid to see an idea from another business owner and make it your own thing. Don't be afraid of that. And so enjoy the holiday season. Take advantage of it. And just, exhaust yourself in this fourth quarter. Like, that's all I can tell you. And get ready for taxes. If you are an entrepreneur, start pulling your tax stuff together now.
Yes.
Your receipts, your paperwork. Because I messed up last year. I procrastinated tremendously, and I'm suffering for it right now. So I should take my own advice. I definitely am going to be prepared for tax season. So yeah.
Yep. So, all right, guys, that's
Well,
it
yeah.
for KTE in the Entrepreneur Spotlight. We appreciate you joining us tonight. We'll have some of the tidbits from today on our website at kteuniversity.com. If you can, we're in phase 1 of this project, and we're super excited about some things we'll be launching in the future. Courses on digital marketing, branding, development, just all the things an entrepreneur needs to engage with customers and live a fulfilling life in this business. So we're going to go ahead and sign out today, guys. You guys have a blessed evening. Until next Thursday, this is KTE and the Entrepreneur Spotlight. All right, guys.